Welcome back, guys, gals, non-binary pals, to another reading of A Starstruck Legacy. I apologize for the unannounced hiatus. I had some final exams coming up and focused a lot more on schoolwork lately. I know I say this every time, but I'll be trying to get more back into the swing of things and posting more regularly. Regardless, this will be Chapter 11, Everyone Loves Laser Tag. Here's the summary. Aizawa decided to pull a logical ruse on 1A's Gen Ed transfers. It was a sad day for the support course. They had heard the news not too long ago. Mikumo Akatani was secretly working for a villainous organization and had already been taken into police custody. The worst part was, this wasn't even his first mission in espionage. He was apparently an international super spy and had been gathering intel for villains for over 5 years. Unfortunately, the police couldn't get much information out of him, as he deliberately forgoes as much communication as possible during his infiltrations. The only things he knew was that he was working for the League of Villains and that he was hired by some guy without a face. Thankfully, since Mikumo's quirk posed no threat, only allowing him to teleport small objects, he was allowed visitors from behind a wall of thick glass. "Why did you do it, Akatani?" Izuku asked disappointedly. It's no big deal," Mikumo shrugged. "You infiltrated our school and spied on us for a villainous organization," Mina frustratedly pointed out. "That sounds like a big deal to me." "I still can't believe it was you, of all people," May stated. "I mean, think of all the good times we had." "Hey, can you pass me that wrench?" May asked Mikumo. "Sure." "May, you suck at flashbacks." Mina shoved her rival aside. "Here's how you really do it." "All right," Mina began as she sat at her desk. "Since it's the first day of school, how about a quick getting to know each other exercise? Say your name and a fun fact about yourself. I'll go first. I'm Mina Farasu. I collect wind-up toys. I'm Izuku Midoriya. My favorite food is katsudon. I'm Mei Hatsume. My babies caused me to be sent to the principal's office 27 times back in middle school. I'm Mikumo Akatani. I was hired by a villainous organization to spy on UA and its classmates." The class had a good laugh at that. Mina blinked in shock as she finished her reminiscing. "Okay, now that I think about it, you weren't exactly subtle." "Who said I was trying to be?" Mikumo imposed. "You said something similar to me after May and Farasa's match at the sports festival," Izuku thought out loud. "Were all those times secretly cries for help? Blink 3 times if yes." Mikumo's blinking speed stayed constant. "No, not really. But you can't say I lied to you about anything." Mina leaned over closer to her class, the frustration still evident on her face. "Still, was all that time we spent together a lie? Did it mean anything to you, or were we just a part of your cover?" "No, it meant something. I like all you guys. You're cool." Mikumo let out a small smile. "A few minutes ago, you asked me why I did it, why I'm a spy. Well, the answer is, I just like traveling and meeting new people. People like you." "You know there are other ways to travel and meet people other than being a spy, right?" May pointed out. "There are?" Mikumo's eyes widened like he hadn't even considered the possibility. "Oh well, it's no big deal. I'll see you guys later." "What are you talking about? You're getting sent to jail." "Oh, am I?" Mikumo smirked as his body quickly disappeared into nothingness, leaving the 3 support students in a collective state of shock. "What just happened?" Mina asked. "I think I know." Izuku pulled out his notebook. "The police report said Akatani's quirk was the ability to teleport small objects. Atoms are small objects." "Makes you wonder if this was his first time getting arrested," May posed. As the trio made their way out of the police station, Izuku found himself halted by a hand placed on his shoulder. "Young Midoriya, I need to have a quick word with you before you leave," Toshinori whispered. Izuku was a little confused by his mentor showing up out of nowhere, but he assumed it meant that the situation was dire. "What do you need, All Might?" "It's about your little Yakuza escapade several days ago," Toshinori began as he led Izuku back into the police station and into a private room occupied by Naomasa Sukauchi. "Don't worry, you're not in trouble or anything. We just found some concerning details." "Toshinori's correct." Sukauchi nodded as he flipped through his notes. "In the report you gave to the police, you said that you fell through a purple portal and were greeted by a man made of mist, correct?" "Yeah?" Izuku nodded hesitantly. "And you said that you saw Kai Chisaki become engulfed in gray sludge and disappear soon after." "Uh-huh." "Then it's exactly as I feared." Toshinori said, his head hung low. Young Midoriya, that gray sludge is a result of All-for-One's summoning quirk, which unfortunately means there's a high likelihood he's alive and now has overhaul. Izuku's blood ran cold at the revelation, and he immediately began to panic. I didn't mean to help your arch-nemesis, I swear. No one told me the Mistman was part of the League of Villains. I'm so sorry. Toshinori placed a comforting hand on his successor's shoulder before he could work himself into hysterics. It's all right, my boy. No, it's not all right. Izuku shot up from his seat. All-for-One has the ability to kill you with a single touch. He's more dangerous than ever. How are you and Star supposed to fight him now? I mean, sure, New Order could theoretically combat the effects of Overhaul. Toshinori motioned his hand for Izuku to continue. And Star has All Might level strength. And there's the fact that All-for-One barely managed to survive his first encounter with you. And if you add Star to the mix... Exactly, my boy. Toshinori patted Izuku on the back. Plus, having my organs regenerated has extended the amount of time I can spend in my muscle form, so you have nothing to fear. Why? Because you are here? Exactly. And the police force is working round the clock to find All-for-One's location. You needn't worry in the slightest. Just focus on your studies for now. Okay. I'll trust you on this, All Might. Izuku nodded as he glanced at his watch. Oh, shoot! I'm gonna be late for class! He quickly dashed out of the police station, leaving just Toshinori and Tsukauchi. Did you really mean everything you said to him? Tsukauchi couldn't help but ask. Toshinori tiredly slumped in his chair. Mostly, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't at least a little concerned about the upcoming confrontation. How concerned are we talking here? Are you concerned for your life, or concerned in the same way that a theater actor is concerned about going on stage? The latter. Then you should be fine as long as you don't flub your lines, Tsukauchi snickered. Toshinori returned the laugh. Oh, that would be horrible. Could you imagine if I messed up and said something like, I am dear? Don't jinx it. I think I just did. When the time for heroics class came around, everyone was slightly taken aback when Aizawa walked into the classroom instead of All Might. Of course, Aizawa predicted this reaction, but he chose not to focus on that, for he had a mission. It had been a few weeks since Class 1A got its Gen Ed transfers, and Aizawa was too busy finalizing internships to properly welcome them. But since his schedule was free now, he figured he could have All Might take the day off. Besides, Izuku and Ochako needed to receive the same reality check the rest of their class received on orientation day. Throw on your hero costumes and meet me in Gym Gamma. You have 7 minutes, don't be late. Aizawa flatly stated before walking out of the door, and the rest of class scrambled to the changing rooms. Sure enough, about 6 minutes and 42 seconds later, the last student arrived, with Aoyama bursting into the gym as he fumbled with his belt. You all made it on time, not bad. Now, I'm sure you're wondering what we're doing for heroics class today. At the collective sounds of agreement, Aizawa walked over to a wall, tapped on a specific tile, and a series of buttons appeared before him. Upon pressing one, the layout of the gym shifted into that of a small, multi-layered fortress. The normally concrete floor was switched with a dark blue rug with a pattern of bright, colorful shapes. The regular lights dimmed and black lights quickly turned on in their place, covering the entire gym in a neon coating. The entire class gaped at the display as the gym turned into a laser tag arena before their very eyes. Whoa! I didn't know the gyms could do this, Kaminari explained. It's part of our contract, Aizawa explained. If you're a teacher at UA, you get to choose one of the gym's settings. 13 picked laser tag, Mike picked a radio station for when he needs to do his show from here, I picked a large napping station, and Midnight picked a... Never mind. So we're gonna be playing laser tag, Toru wiggled in excitement. This is gonna be so much... Mina slapped a hand over her friend's mouth, at least where she thought her friend's mouth was. Don't say anything, Toru, you'll jinx it. No, Hagakure is correct, Aizawa clarified, much to the cautious optimism of his class. Today's exercise is a simple game of laser tag. He reached into his sleeping bag and pulled out a pair of red and blue vests. Each vest has a sensor on the back and chest. If you get shot once, you're dead and must lie down where you were shot. The game ends when an entire team is wiped out. Any questions? Momo's hand immediately shot up. Are quirks allowed? Quirks are allowed and encouraged. I hope everyone uses their powers to the fullest potential. Aizawa glared not so subtly at Todoroki, who glared back with equal force. Tsuyu raised her hand. Who's on the team, Ribbit? Aizawa did his trademark creepy grin. That was just the question he was waiting for. The red team will have Midoriya, Uraraka, and the blue team will have everyone else. Aizawa turned to both members of the red team, who were frozen in shock. Welcome to the hero course, you two. Let's see how you fare against your new classmates. Considering they recently transferred from Gen Ed, Aizawa figured not too well. Of course, Aizawa designed this exercise with Izuku and Ochako's quirks in mind, but due to a combination of sleeping in class, tuning out his students' chatter, and not checking their files, he had literally no idea of a certain green-haired student's recent quirk acquisition. Izuku, you look nervous. Of course I'm nervous, Ochako, Izuku said as he paced back and forth. It's us against everyone. What the heck are we supposed to do? Hey, sorry about this, man. Kirishima stepped forward. Aizawa just does these kind of things sometimes. He calls them logical ruses. Logical ruses? Izuku let out a harsh chuckle. I don't see what's so logical about them. He usually doesn't tell us that until afterward. Izuku tugged on his hair in frustration. But still, I really wish he didn't single us out. Maybe he wants to see how we'd fare in an impossible situation, Ochako chimed in. I mean, heroes have the odds stacked against them all the time. So, it's not about if we win or lose, Izuku nodded his head contentedly. It's about how we approach this situation. Great idea, Ochako. Oh, it really wasn't an idea, more of an observation. I honestly have no clue how we're supposed to tackle this situation. Izuku rubbed his chin in contemplation. I think I might have a few strategies. Come on, let's go get to our starting positions. When the pair ran off to the side of the arena, they were met with a pair of vests and guns hanging on a nearby hook. Okay, watch this. Izuku took one vest in each hand and called upon his quirk. These vests cannot be touched by lasers. Whoa, that's amazing, Izuku, Ochako complimented, which gave Izuku a warm feeling in his chest that he struggled to fight down. Here, let me try it out. She took a laser gun and vest and fired it at her chest sensor, to which the laser swerved away from its target. Izuku slipped on his vest over his hero costume and readied his laser gun. Okay, we might have a fighting chance here. A fighting chance? Izuku, we literally can't get hit. We've already won. Oh yeah. Izuku sheepishly scratched the back of his head. In that case, we might as well have some fun with it. Heck yeah! A determined grin etched itself on Ochako's face, which Izuku did his best to mimic. Then the alarm blared, signaling the beginning of the match. The pair heard a stampede of footsteps coming from the other side of the arena. They had no doubt it was a large portion of the class charging at them. How do you want to do this? Izuku asked with a smirk. In the most bleep way possible, Ochako responded. She removed gravity on herself, then did a triple somersault in midair while unleashing a barrage of lasers down on her opponents. She didn't land a single shot, but she made a pretty clean landing on the elevated fortress above. Sato pointed to her and shouted, There she is! Fire at will! Which the class then proceeded to do, the lasers swerving away from her vest's weak points. Dang it! She's immune to lasers! Ojiro shouted as he shot at her repeatedly. You're right. I am. Ochako grinned as she drew her laser gun at the crowd below her. But you're not. She fired a shot at Ojiro, which hit him dead on. Scatter! Kaminari yelled, and the whole group dispersed across the arena. How did it go? Izuku asked, using full cowling to run up to her. Not too well, she shrugged. I got one of them, but now they know about our invulnerability. Well, it's not like they can do anything about it. Just as Izuku finished that sentence, the pair were engulfed in a huge glacier of ice, courtesy of Todoroki. You can't zap us if you can't move, the dual-haired boy coldly declared. You raise a good point, Izuku shivered. But what if I have Midoriya Hazashi's quirk? At those words, Izuku felt a warm feeling bubble up in his chest and decided to let it all out, which caused a green fire to spew from his mouth, melting the ice near instantaneously. Todoroki glared at Izuku as he unleashed another wave of ice, only to be matched with verdant flames. Todoroki pushed harder, which caused ice to creep up his body. Izuku pushed harder in return, and he felt his lungs ache. While the two were deadlocked in a battle of fire and ice, Ochako snuck up behind Todoroki and shot him in the back, to which he collapsed on the floor, trying to imitate being dead as best he could. All right, who's next? Izuku coughed as he looked around. Look, over there! Ochako pointed at Tokoyami, who had just vanished behind one of the pillars. Running after him, Izuku and Ochako were quickly led into what seemed to be a maze of mirrors, and Tokoyami stood in such a position that he was present in each one. Much like the darkness of the night, I am omnipresent, Tokoyami taunted as he struck a JoJo-like pose, which reflected across every mirror. I don't remember this being here before, Ochako pondered as she stared at the mirrors surrounding her. It wasn't, said a new voice. Izuku and Ochako quickly turned to see Habuko and the yellow flash of her quirk. As the pair fell to the ground, paralyzed, a strand of tape came out of nowhere and wrapped up their limp bodies. Great job, Yayorozu! Your plan worked, said Sero as he stepped into view. Sometimes misdirection can be the best tactic in a hero's repertoire, said Momo as she gracefully strutted up to the pair. Ah, so it was you who made the mirror maze, Izuku deduced. That was a solid idea, but you forgot one key detail. He charged up full cowling to 50%, which really said a lot about the strength of Sero's tape, and ripped off his bindings with a single flex. Ochako couldn't deny that he looked kind of hot in the moment, and neither could Momo. Now feeling the sting of danger, Habuko, Sero, Tokoyami, and Momo all began to book it. Though while they were all fast, they couldn't outrun the speed of a laser. Okay, that makes 6, Izuku said. Deku! Katsuki yelled as he charged over. Sap! Okay, that makes 7. Who do you think is gonna go for us next? I think Koda, Ochako said as she looked up. What makes you say that? Because there's a flock of pigeons circling us from above. Also, they all have tiny laser tag vests on. Aw, that's adorable! Izuku cooed as he pulled out his gun and shot them all down with minimal effort. But not adorable enough. A scream of agony could be heard from across the arena, followed by a laser blast. Did Koda just commit laser seppuku? Best not to question it, Izuku. Like, stop right there, yo! Kami suddenly appeared and pointed her gun at the pair. Oh, spit! Ochako shot her without hesitation, but to her surprise, the girl just turned into a sparkly mist and faded away. Like, you totally missed me, said another Kami who spontaneously appeared behind them. Zap! Izuku shot the second Kami, who also turned into mist upon contact with the laser. Like, try again, taunted a third Kami who waved from afar. Or, don't, said a fourth. It would be totally sweet if you just, gave up, said a fifth. Yeah, I agree, nodded a sixth. Within seconds, Izuku and Ochako found themselves surrounded by an army of Kamis, each one with a laser gun in her hand. Ochako, I think Utsushimi is using her quirk, Izuku whispered to his friend. Really? I didn't notice. What should we do? Shoot, I guess? Sounds good. Izuku and Ochako stood back to back as they began unloading their laser guns at the horde of Kamis slowly encroaching upon them. It only took one shot to dispel each clone, but it seemed as if they were being created faster than they were destroyed. Izuku, they're getting closer! Ochako yelled through the heavy gunfire. I know! Her illusion quirk is super strong! He suddenly stopped in his tracks upon processing what he just said. Wait a minute. Illusions aren't real? Upon this revelation, the Kami army immediately disintegrated into a sparkly mist, leaving the real one standing awkwardly in place until Izuku shot her. Aw, man, Kami bemoaned as she fell to the ground. Kami, we will avenge you! Yelled Mina and Toru as they charged onto the scene. Out of the frying pan and into the fryer, Izuku shrugged as he raised his blasters. Suddenly, the ground beneath them began to shake violently, throwing the pair off their balance. Whoa, what's going on? Ochako asked as she stumbled back and forth, trying not to fall over. Look! Izuku pointed to a nearby tower, where he saw Jiro using her jacks to create a mini earthquake while Kirishima and Kaminari kept watch. It looks like she's trying to make sure we can't properly line up a shot, but I have an idea. He placed a hand on Ochako's shoulder and said, Ochako Uraraka has Snipe's quirk. I'll go take care of Jiro. You can use homing to take out Toru and Mina. Right. Ochako nodded determinedly as Izuku flew off towards the tower. Turning towards her opponents, she noticed them trying to shoot her, but they were just as susceptible to the shaky ground as she was. End of the line, pardner. Ochako mimicked Snipe's old western speech as she used her quirk to fire at Toru's vest. But to her surprise, the invisible girl just waved her hands and redirected the shot right back at her. Ha! How do you like a taste of your own medicine? Mina shouted. Thanks to Izuku's order, the laser simply swerved out of the way when it got close to Ochako's vest. It Tastes pretty good, actually. Mina and Toru turned towards each other with shock and worry. We didn't plan for that. Can we surrender? Toru asked politely. Ochako chuckled as she walked towards her opponent and cocked back her gun. Sorry, cowpokes. There ain't no such thing as surrender in the Old West. Any last words, varmint? Oh, I do! Kami's hand suddenly shot up, despite the fact she was supposed to be dead. You and Midoriya looked so awesome when fighting back-to-back. It was pretty lit. Ooh, Mina perked up at the possible mention of romance. Do I smell shipping fodder for UA's newest power couple? Guys, Ochako flushed in embarrassment. It's nothing like that. We're just friends. Sure, whatever you say. Ochako couldn't see it, but she was pretty sure Toru had just rolled her eyes. I guess that just means less competition for the others. Wait, competition? Yeah, fam. Midoriya's like UA's most eligible bachelor. Tons of people are totes crushing on him. Ochako's eyes widened at the unexpected news. What? Who? Let's see here. Mina mentally consulted her shipping chart. Just from Class 1A, there's Jiro, Yaomomo, Kiri, and Kaminari. If you're looking for proof, check out Midori with them right now. Ochako whipped her head around to see Izuku up the tower. He was currently helping up Jiro, Kirishima, and Kaminari after he presumably shot them. She took extra notice of the blush adorning each of their faces. Ochako didn't know quite what to make of this, other than the small pang of jealousy she felt in her chest. That's a lot to take in. I'll think about this later, but what about you three, huh? Oh, we're not into him, Mina said. We're already taken. By each other, Toru added. We're like a throuple, Kami explained as she held her girlfriend's hands. Aw, I'm happy for you. Ochako smiled as she held her gun point blank at Mina's vest. Now die. As the gravity girl finished dispatching her enemies, Izuku landed right next to her. Alright, I got Kirishima, Kaminari, and Jiro. It was weird. Once I landed next to them, they got all blushy and stuttery. That made them really easy to shoot. Do you know why they were acting like that? Nope, not at all, Ochako was quick to answer. Why don't we just wrap this up already? The game has been going on for a while. Yeah, you're right, but thankfully, I know just how to end this game off with a bang. He removed the order he placed on Ochako and excitedly held the laser gun in his hands. I have Yui Kodai's quirk. Hey, show! Hisashi Yamada yelled as he burst into the laser tag arena's spectator room. I heard you were firing up the old laser tag arena for the little listeners. What's the special occasion? Aizawa didn't turn to his friend. He just stared blankly at one of the screens. I wanted to give my students a reality check by pitting the Gen Ed transfers against the entire class. Ah, I see. Facing Midoriya would certainly give me a reality check. Aizawa slowly shook his head. No, the reality check was meant for the Gen Ed transfers. Hisashi just stared blankly at his friend. Sho, do you have any idea what the little listener is capable of? I thought I did, but I didn't know he could do any of that. He gestured to the screen where Izuku was somehow growing his laser gun to 100 times its size. Sho, when was the last time you checked his file? You know I don't check student files, Hisashi. And that's the problem. I've always said you've got to be more proactive as a teacher. I mean, I knew about the little listener's recent quirk acquisition, and I'm his English teacher, for goodness sakes. Before Aizawa could retort, Izuku fired his giant laser gun, which pretty much engulfed the entire arena. Both teachers heard the surprised gasp from students upon getting shot. Holy bleep! Yelled Shoji. Oh my frog! Yelled Tsuyu. Mamma mia! Shouted Aoyama, who was Italian in this AU. Aizawa just slammed his head on the desk. Red team wins, he tiredly announced into the speaker system. I can tell you're feeling frustrated, Katsuki's conscience observed. But then again, when are you not? Oh, can it! Katsuki mentally shouted back. You know that laser tag game was blasted. I mean, you kind of just ran in there without any plan whatsoever. Plus, you called Izuku Deku again. I thought we were making progress. I'm having an off day. Get off my back. Ah, I see. Is the anticipation of facing your one-sided rival getting to you? No? Yes? Maybe. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Now that class is over, I'm going to make him fight me. Then we'll see who's really better. Fine, just make sure to not be forceful about it. Then he'll have a higher chance of agreeing. I get it. You don't have to repeat yourself. Finally, someone's catching on. Whatever. Katsuki tuned out the voice in his head as he approached Izuku at his desk, who looked surprised to see him approaching. Izuku, do you want to spar in the gym? Izuku looked absolutely bewildered at how Katsuki phrased his request. I'm sorry? What was that, Kachan? Katsuki took a deep breath to prevent himself from blowing up. Do you want to spar in the gym? Yes or no? Okay, I guess. I'll go get my tracksuit. Meet you there in 5? Yeah, whatever, Katsuki said as he walked off, leaving a very confused Izuku. Of all the things that happened that day, Katsuki asking him to spar wasn't one of them. Not that he didn't expect Katsuki to challenge him at some point, but he was surprised to be given a choice in the matter. He figured if Katsuki wanted him to fight, he would drag him off to the nearest open area and start attacking him. Then again, Izuku hadn't been keeping tabs on his former childhood friend, so maybe this was a sign that he was changing for the better. He decided to see where this would go. Plus, there was that small part of him that wanted to show up his childhood bully with his cool new quirks. You should listen to that part of you, kid. It'll take you places, Banjo advised. Yeah, like illegal fighting rings, En snarked. And I cleaned house, so what was the problem? You spent all the money on a limousine, then drunkenly crashed it. Oh, come on, we've all done something like that. It's true, Hikage chimed in. For me, it was a tractor. Guys, could you not? Izuku said out loud. They can, but they choose not to, Yoichi bemoaned. Welcome to my world. When Izuku and Katsuki were both changed into their gym uniforms, they stood on opposite ends of the gym, with Aizawa in the center, who was there to referee the fight. All right, here's how this'll work, Aizawa drawled, wanting to get this over with. We'll go by sports festival rules, which means you can either win by knockout, forfeit, or ring out. If things get too heated, I will call the match. Are you both ready? Uh-huh, Izuku nodded. As ready as I'll ever be, said Katsuki. All right. 3, 2, 1, begin. The moment the match began, Katsuki wordlessly charged to his opponent with a heated explosion in his hand. He knew Izuku could warp reality, so he thought he was prepared for anything. What he wasn't prepared for, however, was for Izuku to stand there, completely unmoving. Katsuki didn't know what kind of trick Izuku was pulling, but he wasn't going to wait to find out. He blasted himself over Izuku like a pole vaulter and aimed an explosion at his back. However, before the blast could connect, Izuku quickly muttered out, "All the damage and pain I received gets transferred tenfold to the one inflicting it." Unfortunately for Katsuki, his body was already committed to the action, and when the explosion connected, he felt a searing pain across his back as he was blasted out of the ring by his own attack. Izuku Midoriya wins, Aizawa announced. Thank you for the short match, Midoriya. Now I can go home. Katsuki silently lay on his back and stared at the ceiling. Whatever pain he experienced vanished in an instant, but that did very little for his internal feelings. Let's see here, his conscience began. First, you lost to Todoroki, then Yaoyorozu, then Shishido, then Izuku. How do you feel? Katsuki sighed outwardly. I don't blasted know. Mostly just tired. He beat me without throwing a single punch, and there isn't a dang thing I can do about it. Well, there is one thing. Ugh, I hate how I know what you're about to say. Put this petty rivalry aside and stop comparing yourself to him. Is that what you thought I was going to say? Yup, right on the money. Well, it's about time, and all it took was for you to repeatedly get the sense beaten into you. Yeah, quit beating a dead horse. I guess now you'll have to want me to apologize to Izuku since I was such a brat to him. Maybe not right this moment. What? Why the heck not? Listen, I know you feel bad for what you did to him, and you just gained the capability to act on your newfound empathy. But if you apologize to him now, that kind of sends the message that he was only worth an apology once he proved himself stronger than you, and that makes you come across as super shallow. Do you honestly think he'd care? Katsuki asked. I don't even think Izuku ever held a grudge against me in the first place. It's the principle of the thing. Just wait until the time is right. I doubt Izuku's even expecting an apology, so it's not like you'd be depriving him of closure or anything. Fine, I can wait. Just don't make me procrastinate on this. Oh, please. You might be a lot of things, Kats, but a procrastinator is not one of them. Now done with his inner conversation, Katsuki forced himself off the ground, only to find out the hard way that his attack left him sore all over. Blast! What did I put in those explosions? Not too much, Izuku answered as he walked up to him. I amplified it by 10 to make sure that it would take you out. I know you're tough like that. He bent down and offered Katsuki a hand of assistance. Need some help? Katsuki couldn't help but grin slightly as he accepted Izuku's hand. Yeah, thanks. Phew, what a day. Izuku stretched as he rolled into the support lab. needing to pick up some things before he went home. "How's the hero course treating you?" Mina casually asked. "Pretty good, I say. My friend and I beat my entire class in laser tag." "Oh, you mean the friend who's totally crushing on you?" May chimed in. "What? No, there's no way she's crushing on me." That's crazy. That's crazy. Mina glared at May suspiciously. "How would you know who has a crush on who? Aren't you Miss Social Conventions Are Beneath Me?" 3D printer lady let it slip when she came to pick up her babies. "Wait, Yagorozu has a crush on—" "Hold that thought, Midoriya," Mina said as the antenna on her head wiggled impatiently. "My quirk is picking up a signal." "Oh, right, your radio quirk that's been there this whole time but hasn't been relevant up to this point," May stated out loud. "What are you picking up?" "Let's see here." Mina fiddled with her antenna, trying to get a better read on the signal. "Some kind of national broadcast. Turn on the TV." Izuku grabbed the remote. "Which channel?" "Doesn't matter. It's playing on every one." Feeling a sense of foreboding, Izuku turned on the TV and was greeted by a white-haired man with red eyes in a finely tailored suit. Izuku immediately recognized the man from the descriptions Toshinori had given him. It was All For One. "Greetings, Japan." All For One smiled deviously. "I've come bearing a special message for Star and Stripe, and more specifically, her newest intern, Legacy. I'll cut right to the chase here, Legacy. I have something of yours you hold quite dear." The camera shifted, revealing Izuku Midoriya, blindfolded and tied to a chair. Izuku froze in place as his heart sank. "That's right, Legacy. I've kidnapped your mother." All For One let out a booming laugh. "And if you want to see her in one piece, Star and Stripe must forfeit her quirk to me." Izuku gulped heavily as he struggled to stand up straight. The possibility of All For One with New Order sounded just as bad as him getting One For All. "Star, you have 4 hours to meet me in my compound, 25 miles from the middle of nowhere, and if I see any heroes besides her," he pointed a hand towards Inko, and a purple ball of energy formed in his hand, "things will not end well for my little hostage. Ta-ta!" With that, the broadcast cut off, leaving Izuku to stew in his own emotions. He could vaguely hear the vestiges trying to say something to him, but their words were drowned out by the sound of his own beating heart. All at once he felt worry, fear, guilt, dread, but most prominent of all, rage. Focusing on that last one, Izuku steadied his breathing as his eyes narrowed and his fists clenched to his sides. He could feel Black Whip leaking out of him, but he didn't care. All For One would pay. And that's all for this chapter. I hope you liked it. Thank you all so much for listening. Patch out.